Hey everyone, it's me, Andy,
And I'm Sean.
and this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Vadrok, Artifact Voltron.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Commander's Brew here on YouTube. If you would like to help us out, it would be great if you hit subscribe, because that is something that we are doing a little bit of a push for, because we're trying to hit that 10,000 subscribers. It's a cool little milestone for YouTubers, and we've been at it for a while now. We're getting really close. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet, do consider it. And if you have and you want to help us out, subscribe, leave a little comment, share it if you got some Commander friends who would like to get into a new show. Or you can go over to patreon.com/commandersbrew. You can get involved directly, donate to the show, get over into our Discord and help us actually brew the decks and come up with some of these card ideas and stuff. So yeah, patreon.com/commandersbrew. But let's get into today's big deck tech. All right, so today's deck tech, Sean, lay it on us. We had a discussion, what was it, like a week, 2 weeks ago?
We were talking, remember, time is hard right now.
Time is tough, but we were we were talking about these new the Mutate Ikoria commanders.
Yes.
Right?
I'm intrigued by the Mutate commanders. We kind of, it's tough to it's a parasitic mechanic, so it's hard to just be put all the Mutate cards in and that's the deck, because there aren't that many Mutate cards, so you got to support them. However, so maybe we can go outside that a little bit. So I took on Vadrok, Apex of Thunder. Let me read you what Vadrok does. Vadrok is a Jeskai commander, blue, red, white, legendary elemental dinosaur cat, 3/3 flying first strike, and mutates for 1 red, and then Azorius. So 4 mana to mutate, 2 red, 1 colorless, and 1 either white or blue. And whenever this creature mutates, you may cast target non-creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So you pay 4 and you get 3 back in the form of any spell that's not a creature from your graveyard. Anything that's not a creature, that's great. So I thought, and I only experienced this on Arena. I saw someone playing this with a Brawl deck, and it was pretty cool, I thought, because there's a lot of 3 mana draw spells, and every time you mutate, it's like, well, I'll take another draw. I'll draw some more cards every time I mutate. Now, I just want to say that rules-wise, if we get to cast a spell without paying its mana cost from the graveyard, for example, or anywhere if that rule applies, you are allowed to pay additional costs. I can't pay alternative costs, but I can pay additional costs, so I can get extra value out of these free spells. And the example I want to bring up is Collective Effort. Collective Effort is a 3 mana sorcery, 1 white. It has Escalate, and you get to choose 1 or more, and for each one you choose beyond the first, you have to pay its additional Escalate cost. In this case, the Escalate is tap an untapped creature you control. So the 3 choices Collective Effort gives us is destroy a creature with power 4 or greater, destroy an enchantment, or put a +1/+1 on counter on each creature target player controls. So, early on in the game, maybe I want to destroy a big creature. Cool, now it's in my graveyard. If I ever mutate Vadrok onto a non-human, I get to destroy another creature with power 4, or also tap the creature I'm mutating on. I won't get to attack this turn, but I can then also destroy an enchantment, or I can pump my team up with little tokens or little creatures who aren't doing anything. It's a very flexible thing. So once we start opening it up, we started brewing around. I was chatting with the gang in the Discord, and there's a lot of, when you say non-creature spells, you think instants and sorceries. I would expect this commander to read instants and sorceries from your graveyard, but it's non-creatures.
Right, yeah.
So that opens up artifacts. And once you open up artifacts, we really ended up leaning into artifacts and going kind of Voltron-y. And I think it's not just a bunch of spells. It would be, I think the obvious brew is tons of spells that draw you cards, tons of removal, and then you just keep mutating over and over and over. But I think when we get into some neat moves. You'll see what I mean.
Working on a
Neat.
move.
So to start us off, an early neat move I want to address is, so we're kind of going Voltron with Vadrok, because I'll remember Vadrok has flying and first strike. So whatever we mutate onto will also get flying and first strike, which makes it a pretty evasive, pretty effective combatant. So Voltron commanders, they die sometimes. People target them with removal. So that's why we got Curator's Ward. 2 and a blue for an aura, enchant a permanent, any permanent. Enchanted permanent has hexproof, and when enchanted permanent leaves the battlefield, if it was historic, draw 2 cards. So we are going to get to protect our commander with this. If it's an artifact creature, we have the choice of putting Vadrok above or below it. But if it's a non-artifact creature, we don't have too many non-artifact creatures, I'll tell you that. Then Vadrok has to go on top for this to protect it and draw cards. Because it won't be historic if we put it underneath. Then it just becomes a mutated regular creature.
Wait, but artifacts are historic?
Artifacts are. I'm just saying, if we do the 1 or 2 non-artifact creatures.
Sorry, yes, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's a 3 CMC spell. So if it somehow gets dealt with, we're going to draw cards. If, let's say, it's a board wipe, everything gets destroyed, we'll draw 2 cards. We'll be able to mutate Vadrok onto another creature and put this right back on the creature as the effect.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty nice to be able to just get this for free from your graveyard with Vadrok.
Sure. And there's another interesting way. I don't know if we can utilize it the best in this deck, but there's another neat way to protect Vadrok. Why don't you take this one? I thought this was a very neat move.
Okay. Myth Realized is the single white mana for an enchantment that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a lore counter on Myth Realized, and then you can pay 2 and a white to put a lore counter on Myth Realized, and then you can pay a single white again until end of turn. Myth Realized becomes a monk avatar creature in addition to its other types and gains this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lore counters on it. So I'm guessing is what it happens here is that you turn Myth Realized into a monk avatar creature.
Yep.
And its power toughness is equal to the number of lore counters on it.
Yep.
You mutate Vadrok on under it.
Yes.
Right? So, because you're probably going to have a ton of counters on it, especially later in the game. So you've got a couple counters on this thing already. So maybe it's like even just like a 4/4 or even a 5/5. Putting Vadrok under it doesn't lose you any power or anything. So you put it under it that way, and then you can attack and do all your stuff with it. But it then turns back into an enchantment.
Yes.
So that's kind of this neat kind of like evasive protection where like, you know, sorcery speed removal can't get rid of it. And it dodges board wipes that way too.
Yeah.
That's pretty
it's
cool.
An interesting way to... So if in a world where you need to defend, obviously this isn't that great. Like you have to keep waking it up to defend. If you don't have vigilance and you attack with it, then it is tapped so that when you keep reanimating it, it reanimates tapped. I use reanimate to mean turn into a creature.
Mutate.
Like, I mean, wake it up.
Like, you mean
activate
like
turn it from an enchantment back to a creature.
Just animate it, then I guess it would be.
Just animate it. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's a neat way to hide Vadrok if you really need to.
Love it. I think that's very creative, very cool.
So let me go into the core neat move, and we've got a few redundant ways to do this. So to start us off, imagine we cast an artifact creature with an ETB ability that is a little bit relevant. How about Iron Bully? 3 generic for a golem artifact creature. It has menace, and it's a 1/1, and when it enters, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on any target creature. So maybe you put it on Iron Bully. So now Iron Bully has a +1/+1 counter. Then we mutate onto it, maybe in the following turn, and we'll recast from the graveyard something like Into the Royal. 1 and a blue. It's got kicker for 1 and a blue. So we are allowed to pay that extra 1 and a blue, and we can return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If the spell was kicked, draw a card. So we can return our freshly mutated commander and Iron Bully back to our hand. Both things will come back to our hand because it's treated as one creature. We will have also drawn a card from it, and Into the Royal will go back into the graveyard. So on a future turn, we can replay Iron Bully, put the +1/+1 counter somewhere else, mutate onto it, and Into the Royal it back into our hand again and again and again. And this works with different creatures with different ETB abilities that we want to mutate onto.
I love it. Wow.
Yeah. And so take this next little group of pals here.
We got Foundry Inspector, the 3-mana artifact construct creature. It's a 3/2 artifact spells you cast, cost 1 generic less to cast. And then we have Ethereum Sculptor, which is 1 and a blue for a 1/2 artifact creature, Vidalcan Artificer. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast as well. So they're both same effect. They both will make your artifact spells cost 1 generic less each.
And so if we're able to get a couple of these going, we're able to cast artifact creatures for almost free.
Yeah.
So then we can easily keep this kind of loop going for those effects. We've got little artifact creatures that draw us cards, search for lands and put them into our hand, all kinds of stuff. So I think it's a pretty neat initial loop. But we've also got a pseudo lieutenant in the deck, and that's Tishar, Ancestor's Apostle. 3 and a white for a legendary bird cleric. This is one of our few non-artifact creatures. But so if we were to protect it with a Curator's Ward, but this is also historic, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's legendary.
Yeah, right. It's a 2/2 with flying, and whenever you cast a historic spell, any artifact, and we're looping them whenever we mutate with Vadrok, that counts as casting, you may return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's half of our artifact creatures. So if something else happens to them, we'll just bring them back this way as we keep these loops going. It becomes very resilient.
Wow.
So imagine we cast a Tishar, and then we mutate our commander, and we get to put back, let's say, Emry, Lurker of the Loch, who ended up in the graveyard. 2 and a blue for another legendary Merfolk Wizard, 1/2. Costs 1 less for each artifact you control,
Another
so already
historic,
sort of...
too.
Also historic, and when Emry enters, you put the top 4 cards of your own library into the graveyard, which is great for Vadrok, because it's more targets to hit for mutate. But also, we can tap, choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast it this turn. I'm talking your little Wayfarer's Baubles, the little cantripy artifacts that fix our lands, that draw us cards. We can get those with Emry if Tishar can't get them that way.
Cool.
Yeah. So we got our setup going, right? We've done the loop a few times. We've got some stuff going. So then we got another the strategy shifts a little bit.
Right. Now we want to maybe mutate onto something else because we've been able to bounce our commander back maybe and take advantage of the cheap artifact casting things. And we can get something like Darksteel Juggernaut out there. 5 mana, 5 generic for an artifact creature Juggernaut. It's indestructible, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of artifacts you control, and it attacks each turn if able, each combat if able. This thing can get real big real fast, and having indestructible is a nice thing to throw up there. Not to mention if you mix that up with something like Team or Battle Rage. 1 in a red for the instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn, and has Ferocious. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, the creature that you target will also get Trample, which seems quite nice.
So if we've been going a bit, we probably have half a dozen to a dozen artifacts on the field. We want 11 because if we have 11 on the field, we can mutate Vadrok onto Darksteel Juggernaut, and for our free 3 CMC spell, I'll take Team or Battle Rage, and it's a pseudo form of haste because if Darksteel Juggernaut doesn't have Summoning Sickness, then Vadrok can just scoop in, give it flying and first strike, and now double strike because of Team or Battle Rage, and we can 21 someone if they got no
and
flying
trample.
defense.
Trample might
and trample.
Trample might. I mean, obviously, double strike is important, but trample is pretty important there too, right?
Sure. Yeah, right. If they have, we could do a ton of damage.
That way you can take them out, even if there are sometimes even several blockers. Interesting. What about this next guy?
Ooh, you mean Quende, Pride of Femeref?
Yeah.
3 and a white for a legendary human knight with double strike. He's a 2/2, and creatures you control with first strike, aka anything Vadrok mutates onto, has double strike. So with Quende on the battlefield, anything we do, like, we don't need Team or Battle Rage to get the double strike. We do need help for trample in other ways. Maybe Iron Bully with Menace, like Iron Bully had Menace, and if you give the +1/+1 encounter to itself, it's one, like, +1/+1 encounters sit above the creature's power, so like they always will get added no matter whether you mutate above or below. So it's a pretty useful card to have in here.
Pretty incredible. Yeah, Iron Bully coming back again, being a pretty resilient and pretty interesting threat, oddly enough.
Yeah.
There's also the inclusion of a card like Boros Charm in this deck. Red and white for an instant. Choose one. Boros Charm deals 4 damage to target player. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and target creature gains double strike until end of turn. So you pick any of those.
Probably double strike.
Yeah, specifically we're looking at double strike here again. And then mutating on to something with a lot of power like Akiri Lineslinger, the red-white legendary core ally for strike and vigilance, but hopefully we'll be able to get her double strike this way. Although this oddly enough also works with Quende really well, right?
Yeah.
She gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. And I guess and partner's not relevant here. But yeah, so it's very easy, much like the Juggernaut, to be able to get her power up to that 11 you're looking for. And then just double strike in for the huge win.
Well, and see, for Akiri, we would mutate above Akiri because then Vadrok would have the ability flying first strike.
Right. Yeah.
And then Vadrok would have the ability gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control, and also partner for what it's worth.
Yeah, and it's better to put him on top because his power is 3.
Yes. +1 for each artifact.
So +1 instead of the 0 that Akiri has. Yeah.
And Akiri is not a human. Akiri is a core.
Akiri is a core soldier ally. That is correct.
Philosophically, like if Ikoria existed on Zendikar, then surely you wouldn't be able to mutate onto core creatures because they're like an analog to humans in a way. It's just flavor, but like Magic don't care, right? Ikoria cards don't care that it's like basically a human but from somewhere else.
Well, yeah, I mean, soldier tokens also, like,
sure.
they get that treatment, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, similarly, Shambling Suit, same deal. Shambling Suit is a 3-mana artifact creature construct with star 3 stats, and the power is equal to the number of artifacts and or enchantments you control. So we also get a little enchantment boost. But again, we're looking to get the front side super huge, mutate Vadrok onto them with some sort of double strike spell or just naturally. I updated this in the notes. And this is, and then, or just Chasm Skulker. Chasm Skulker is 2 and a blue for a Squid Horror. Starts as a 1/1, but whenever you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So imagine when we mutate onto Chasm Skulker, if it's already got +1/+1 counters, I mean, we'll probably also cast something like Thirst for Knowledge with our mutate trigger, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. Very easy to discard an artifact card. Sometimes we like having artifacts in the graveyard for Tashar, for Emry. But we're going to draw 3 more cards, which means 3 more counters go on the Chasm Skulker Vadrok mutate stack. So that's another way Vadrok can get to 11 power, throw on some double strike, and just one-shot somebody.
Yeah. Voltron decks, to me, generally seem like a little boring, kind of, because of just, like, the repetitive play. But this one, it seems like there's a lot of choices. There's a lot of... there's a lot of ins and outs, which, I find interesting and more fun.
Well, and you know what I love about it in the brief little bit of testing I was able to do is I know that, like... I mean, I just have fun playing Magic as long as I'm doing stuff sometimes.
Yes, totally.
This deck does a lot of stuff on the way to its game plan. And if you don't win, like we've got a lot of little cheap cantripy artifacts that we can recur. And there's a fair bit of wheel spinning while we set up. But at least we're drawing cards. We're making choices, doing through things. It's more fun than just like cultivate, go, ramp, go. ramp go, big card. like we're doing stuff. We're always we're in action.
If we're not spinning our wheels in Commander, we're not playing Commander.
basically.
This next one is also this. I guess last one is a really good one too. This is just an other super fun mutate target is what you've listed it as, and I agree.
Yes.
Megatog, 4 red for the creature. It's an ATOG. It's a 3/4, and you can sack an artifact, and Megatog gets +3/+3, and gains trample until end of turn. So this one will turn your artifacts, instead of like all the other ones we've just been reading, into like +1/+0s or +1/+1s. This one eats them and gets massive and gives them trample, which is, this is like, yeah, I'll take it. This is exactly what we want with Vadrok.
Right. So you mutate Vadrok on top of Megatog. It doesn't matter if Vadrok. So it doesn't matter where you go. I mean, technically, Vadrok is smaller than Megatog by 1 toughness.
Yeah, so you would put it under.
Unless you care about being historic for some reason, if you already have a curator's ward or something. But that's the only time. Mm-hmm. So now it's already got flying and first strike. And we're just and pseudo haste, because that's how mutate works. The creature's been around. So then I'm just like, who's open? Oh, time to mutate onto Megatog. I'll cast a Boros Charm from my graveyard for double strike, and I've got 13 artifacts. Of course, I'm putting the eligible artifact lands into the deck that are just like bonus artifacts. So yeah, I could easily one-shot someone if they're not prepared for it.
Okay, look at the art for Megatog, and if you're listening audio-wise, bring up the art for Megatog, and look at this. Look at this. Does this not look? And I'm going to zoom in as best I can here for the YouTube viewers. Doesn't it look like that little goblin guy's just cut and pasted there? Like he looks like.
Oh my goodness!
They were like, we got to have the Megatog like attacking something. You know what? Just cut and paste that little goblin. Just put him, just throw him in there.
Goblins for scale.
Scale goblin there. Yeah, he's in some trouble, that little guy.
Yeah, he's on a different detail level than everything else.
It's what it looks like, right? It looks more like it when it's zoomed out, oddly enough. Anyways, Megatog. Very fun card. Effective card, though, also. Really good.
Yeah. What a fun deck.
This is fun. This is really cool. I like that it's not the normal artifact synergy. And like when you were like Vadrok artifacts, I thought this is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was, when you said like Voltron artifacts, I'm like, oh, like equipment, right?
Right.
And like, and these are equipment colors. You got Boros colors in here. That's, but yeah, this is a different, I like this. I like this different style. This seems really interesting.
Yeah, I think because we're able to mutate onto different creatures, those creatures are our Voltrons. Mm-hmm. The trouble with a Voltron deck is you put all your eggs in one basket, but I mean, we've got a whole bunch of baskets that are possible Voltrons, and we'll just decide which one's good for now. But if anything happens, like, cool, I got more baskets. Yeah. I guess I have more eggs. I don't know. I mean, still putting in one basket with that metaphor.
No, in this case, I think you're right about the baskets. You've got numerous baskets here.
And I'm putting my Vadrok eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Which is many baskets. But yes, agreed. This is cool. Okay, so we've done that. What about surprises, discoveries, anything like that?
So this is a very fun card that I think is like a board, like it's in the Tutor family. Yeah. This is Wild Research. I was looking for interesting 3 CMC non-creature spells.
We used to talk about this card a lot more at the beginning when we first started the show, I remember.
Yes. So Tuner Red, Enchantment. It's got 2 abilities, 1 for 1 and a white, 1 for 1 and a blue. The 1 and a white is search your library for an enchantment, reveal it, put it in your hand, then discard a card at random. Well, Vadrok doesn't mind if the thing you searched for gets discarded, because I'll mutate. I'm going to search for a 3 CMC, and I'll try to mutate, and I'll just get it from the graveyard, if that's how it works. If something else goes to the graveyard, maybe I can get that, or I'll just cast it from my hand. The 1 in a blue is the same thing, but for an instant. Again, I can get my Teamer Battle Rage that way, but if I have to discard it, I don't mind, because I'll just mutate Vadrok and get it from the graveyard either.
Really slick.
Yeah.
Very, very good use of
and this. And if this thing dies, I can mutate and put this thing back.
Yeah, wow, really cool.
Yeah.
I love that synergy. That's really great.
Oh, it's fun. It was fun brewing this deck. It was fun put together. I want to shout out some of the usual gang. I want to thank Chiefy, Papadio, Jamon, Oslo Wellington III, Will Smitty, Neo Maxis, Lolwut, Madisman, Dinesh. I hope I haven't left anyone out, but those are the main helpers as I kind of put this thing together.
Awesome. Good crew.
Great crew.
Well, we talked about the crew. Time for the budget report.
This is where we take all of the cards and throw them straight into the garbage. But the ones that are under 3 come back to us.
They're coming back out. This is
so,
a cheap one.
It's pretty cheap. You can find the deck list in the show notes. Their TCGplayer link. If you click through there, we do get a slice. Please do that. The TCG low, $40.
Incredible.
TCG market, $68.
Incredible. $68.
We can get it even cheaper. Yeah.
Of course you can, because look at this.
The most expensive card, Akiri Lineslinger, is up to $11.
That is shocking.
Yeah.
That is shocking.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
It seems weird because like different places have a lot of varying prices. So maybe you can find this one for cheaper. I hope so. But I mean, a lot of cards are going up in prices. People getting some stimulus checks and spending money on Magic cards, and like a lot of cards are spiking right now. So it wouldn't surprise me.
It's so weird. Number 2 most expensive card was Solemn Simulacrum. I mean, just a great, whatever. What is there else to be said about Solemn Simulacrum and Commander and decks that care about artifacts that want to ramp under 3 colors? Bam. Solemn Simulacrum is $4.
Yeah. Staple. And then Boros Charm is like $3.50. So, or, depending on where you go. So like, that's a few bucks too.
Yep.
I do like Boros Charm. That feels like a fair price for it.
Yeah, that's not out of the realm of possibilities for picking up for a deck. It does a lot, like it protects your board and can like help finish the game, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a key part of the strategy. So I say we got to keep it.
All right, well, what about the favorite cards? I'll tell you mine.
Okay.
I really love a Metalwork Colossus. The 11 mana 10/10 creature, artifact creature construct. It costs X less to cast, where X is the total converted mana cost of non-creature artifacts you control. So I would assume that there are enough non-creature artifacts in here that's going to be a thing that doesn't bother us too much.
Yeah, plenty of little mana rocks, lockets, things like that.
I almost feel like even in like a normal deck could probably run Metalwork Colossus at a pretty reasonable. Like you don't have to be a dedicated artifact deck, right? Like if you're running the like 8 to 10 ramp spells, and if you just made the most if not all of them rocks, then you're probably going to be able to cast Metalwork Colossus for between 2 and 6 mana, which I think is pretty reasonable for a 10/10.
Yeah.
Anyways, it also has sacrifice 2 artifacts, return Metalwork Colossus from your graveyard to your hand. So a little bit of recursion help there. Love this card, man. And like I said, it's surprisingly viable in decks that are not super hard dedicated artifact decks. And this one is so great.
This deck doesn't mind discard or sacrificing artifacts. We've got plenty. I'm gonna give one final shout out, a last minute under the buzzer suggestion from Dylan P, new to our Discord. Just before I put the show notes together, he suggested a card that I was like, how did I not think of this card? This is Key to the City.
You love
one
this
of my
card.
favorite cards.
Yeah.
I love this card. Look at how it fits well in this deck. It's a 2 mana artifact, so already it's got all those synergies. We can get it back from the graveyard. Emery loves it. It's an artifact. It counts for Akiri and all those things. It's got an ability, tap, discard a card. Up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn. And whenever it becomes untapped, you can pay 2, and if you do, draw a card. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tap Key to the City to make Akiri Lineslinger unblockable. I'm going to discard Boros Charm, but then I'm going to mutate onto Akiri, who is currently unblockable, and cast that Boros Charm for free from the graveyard, giving a double strike. Boom, you're dead.
Unreal.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. This is
Thanks, Dylan P.
This is your card. This is you love this card, and
I can't believe I missed it. Yeah.
Anything that turns the discard into a pro instead of a con. Count me in.
Yeah.
I love it.
Count me in. Yeah.
I'm in. This is some nice synergy here, man. This is what I love to see. I like this deck a ton. I think it's great.
Me too.
Jeskai artifact decks. Feels like there's not a ton of those floating around. Even though like it makes perfect sense, right? Like all the colors, like they all make sense for artifacts, but yeah.
This might be the bet. Like, there's no commander in the Jeskai colors that says use artifacts, please. But since this one just says non-creature, thank you, Wizards. Thanks for not saying instant or sorcery from your graveyard, which they could have easily done.
They could have. Yep. Just gonna do a quick. Oh, that's not it. Never mind. Anyways, yeah, perfect. Well, that's the deck. That's everything. That's this week's show. Thanks for listening, everyone. Again, if you haven't already, check out YouTube, or if you're currently on YouTube, consider hitting us up with a subscribe. Again, trying to get that 10K, hit that little milestone. It'd be great for us. We really appreciate it. Otherwise, Patreon's there. Check it out. Also, check out our sponsors. If you're in Canada, wizardtower.com. Use that coupon code BrewIcoria. That's the new one. You can get a slice off of your single orders, again, in Canada. And otherwise, outside of Canada, check out TCGplayer and follow our link. That's in our show notes below, right here on YouTube. Or if you're listening to the audio show, they will be in the show notes of your favorite audio, your podcast player or whatever. Follow that link. Pick up any cards you want. We'll get a little slice of it. Great. It's easy. Helps us out. Thanks again, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.